Can you play Dune Awakening on the controller? Yes, you can. In fact, the video behind me, which is pulled from the beta weekend, you can go watch this stream at any point in time, was me playing entirely on the controller. Matter of fact, the controller has had in-game tutorials built in since closed beta, and I've been playing on the controller the entire time that I've been involved in Dune Awakening, from the closed beta when I first got my invite over a year ago up until now. And the game is sort of being future proofed in terms of controller support because they are eventually going to launch this game on consoles. And so they are already putting in all the controller support that they need to get the game ready for controllers at launch. So you'll be able to plug in and play with the controller. You could already do so right now, but at launch you'll be able to play with the controller. There are some caveats and there are some sticky points that I think are worth mentioning because I am very much a controller advocate. I don't like playing mouse and keyboard because I have massive tendonitis issues from many years of playing games and writing 25 million words for clients around the world and all the other things I've done. So WASD movement and hitting the shift key just destroys my wrist. So I need a controller to be able to play long sessions. So I very rarely play games that force me to do mouse and keyboard only. I much prefer controller games. And the controller setup in Dune Awakening is already very, very, very good. But like I said, there are a couple of things I think are worth mentioning so that you can understand whether or not you're going to want to play with a controller or not, and maybe get a little bit of an idea of how I use my controller. At some point, by the way, just heads up, like this is from the early stages of the game. If you don't want anything spoiled whatsoever, there are some story moments come up, which I'll try to remind myself to stop and jump ahead so we don't spoil story cutscenes. But I wanted to show this part of it because it shows you how the tutorials are already set up to teach you how to play the game with the controller if you have it, and it's seamless. You can literally move your mouse and it's immediately in mouse and keyboard mode. Flick the stick or push a button and you're back on the controller. It is a seamless transition between the two. So I use the controller for just about every aspect of my gameplay experience in Dune Awakening. There's one exception, and that's going to be the placement of interior items in buildings, with like lamps and desks and chairs, because sometimes you can't quite get the rotation right because of the angle, and so it's usually better to be able to go into the mouse and keyboard because you can, I believe it's holding down the Alt button, using the mouse wheel to scroll will rotate the item, and you have more of a fine-tuned control over rotation. And also placement of like building structures when you're trying to build walls and stuff and you can't quite get it right on the controller. I have found that switching over to the mouse and keyboard can help with those areas. But for everything else, I play 100% on the controller. But there are a couple of sticky points, and I'm going to back up the video really quick because there is one sticky point that I think is worth mentioning here. And let me go back here in the video because it's when he opens up his menu, and this is one of the areas where I want to say, where is it? Open up your Radial, buddy. Somewhere in here he opens up his Radial, and I wanted to, it's hard to fine tune it with the mouse because he does a bandage here in a second, and when he does, I'm going to pause the video because this is one of the things I wanted to talk about. We're going to open up this Radial menu. Okay, this is the part of the video I wanted to pause on. Hang on. And then I didn't quite pause it in time. And go. Okay. All right. Here we are. When you open up the Radial menu, when you are on the controller, your character will pause whatever he is doing to open up this Radial menu. Now, it's fine if you're not doing anything. The downside is when you're in the middle of a combat scenario and you have to open up the Radial menu to like switch weapons or pull out a bandage. Your character will stop running and switch weapons or do the bandage. Whereas when you're in the mouse and keyboard mode, you can keep running and you can either use your mouse scroll to go between options 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and you can use your mouse scroll and just switch on the fly, or you can hit the corresponding keyboard number button and it will instantly switch to that thing without actually stopping your character from moving. This is not a huge deal in PvE scenarios, although I have had a couple of really hairy encounters deep down in Imperial testing stations where I've had like 8 mobs on me in a small confined space and I'm trying to run away and I'm getting shot at and I didn't have a shield yet and I'm in panic mode because my health is getting knocked down. I'm trying to find a corner where I can hunker down and bandage myself because I don't want to do it in the middle of the, I don't want to switch to my bandages in the middle of the corridor because I'm going to get shot at. But this is one area I don't PvP, so this is never going to impact me, but it will impact players who are PvPing. Because when you are PvPing, you can actively switch weapons on the mouse and keyboard much more efficiently than you can on the controller because of the fact that you have to open up the radial menu, which pauses whatever your character is doing. Your character just stops moving, stops doing everything, and just goes into this mode as you open up the radial menu and find the thing that you want to. And sometimes getting the exact selection of that when you're in a panic and you're in a hurry isn't exactly perfect. That's something I think could use a little bit of work. That feedback has already been presented to the team. Quick commercial break, everyone, to celebrate and give thanks to all of these amazing people who keep me on the air full time. Really appreciate the support. All you got to do is join as a member. You get access to private videos. You can also do super thanks on any upload or super chats and stickers on any live stream or premiere you see. And beyond that, don't forget we're multi-streaming over on Twitch now, so you can support over there as well. Thanks so much to everybody. Let's get back to the video at hand. But apart from this, I find the controller support in the game to be absolutely phenomenal. And since I don't PvP, it really hasn't ever, impacted me that much, other than a couple of times in some Imperial testing station scenarios when I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna die! Run, 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 run! Need to find a safe spot so I can hunker down and use a bandage. But apart from that, and the fine-tuned placement of things, I love the controller support in this game. It's very intuitive. It works very well. It did take me a little bit of getting used to because they used the Y button for the radial as opposed to a bumper. And that led to a question that I asked during the Q&A that we did with Ole and Joel a couple weeks back in the Funcom Content Creator Discord, which is, are we going to be able to rebind controller buttons at launch? And the answer I got was no. But at some point later on down the road, when they are getting the game ready for console release, they will be taking a look at adding the ability to rebind buttons on the controllers. Right now, you can only rebind for certain things on the keyboard, and it's not free rebind. You can't rebind everything on the mouse and keyboard because, and this is as Joel was saying, there are a lot of innate functions that are built into certain keys, and if you unbind that key, it messes up like 10 other things. And so they only have selective rebinding of keys right now, and more are coming post-launch in patches, excuse me. So for now, the controller support out of the gate is phenomenal. I love the game on a controller. I play, like I said, 99% of the time that I play, I'm on a controller. The one exception, and you'll see this if you go watch my beta weekend coverage, anytime I was doing interior design and trying to place like bookshelves and stuff, I would go up first and foremost, I would try it on the controller, and if I wasn't quite able to get where I wanted it to be placed for symmetry's sake, I would switch over to the mouse and keyboard and use the mouse scroll wheel to get that fine-tuned rotation in. But that's about the only time that I use the mouse and keyboard. Other than that, I use the controller for everything. The controller works great, just fine. I use the Xbox Series X controller via Bluetooth. You could just plug it in wired if you want to. Other people in some of my videos have commented, said they're using the PS5 controller plugged in via a wired connection, so you can use whatever kind of controller you want. I don't know about off-brand stuff, but as far as like Xbox and PS5 controllers, they work just fine. And I have zero issues with any sort of like, somebody asked me today if I had input lag because I do it through Bluetooth. It's like, no, I have zero issues whatsoever on the controller. I love it. It's great, especially rolling around the desert on your sand bike with the controller. It just feels so good. It literally feels like you're playing a video game, which is awesome. So that's the latest from me on Dune Awakening. There's a playlist below if you want more guides and coverage. We will be starting on June 5th, so hopefully we'll see you there. And until next time, everybody, stay safe and happy gaming.